So with the NBA, I was kind of interested in this. I was watching some stuff, and we had the Miami Heat played the Denver Nuggets, and we had that little scuffle between Marcus Morris and Nikola Jokic, and then
Yeah, I thought it was that's one of those things that happens where it's like, it happens and you're like, yeah, the guy on the team that I root for was wrong, but the team that you root for is going to come out and defend the guy. Oh, well, he was just, supposed to like, oh, it was just a take foul. Yeah, it's like, oh, right. That's what you do on a take foul. You just shove your shoulder into the guy's chest. Right.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a couple issues. I mean, so Morris is in the wrong for doing it, and then he just walks away like it's no big deal. So Jokic gets pissed off and just elbows him in the back and knocks him down. And I've heard this. I've heard this from somebody, but I find it really interesting. Jokic, I really find fascinating because I think of Jokic as like he's like the fat kid in elementary school that if you pissed him off, he would beat the crap out of you because he was just bigger than everybody else.
Yeah.
And I feel like and plus they mentioned this on Inside the NBA. Kenny Smith was actually compared it to Blake Griffin. When Blake Griffin was in the league, they didn't like Blake Griffin jumping over people and dunking on everybody. So they used to just hard foul him, just, take an extra shot at him just because they could. And I think the same thing is happening with Jokic because he's unbelievable. And everybody, first of all, and second of all, in order to beat Denver, you have to stop him. He's the guy you have to stop because they don't have Jamal Murray anymore right now because he's injured. So I think teams are trying to punk Jokic a little bit. And I think that foul on Morris is not just about Morris. I think there's a bigger thing there going on where Jokic is like, I'm not taking any more of this crap. And based on
the European guy, and there's a whole, Europeans are soft. And I think he's trying to go, no, I ain't soft. He's trying to let people know.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I thought, and I heard Stephen A. Smith on First Take, and he made a really good point. He's like, listen, these guys from these European countries, and he started naming European countries, which is funny to listen to Stephen A. Smith go, Slovenia, Romania. That was pretty funny. He's like, these boys don't play. So he was basically making the point, like the countries they come from, there's all kinds of upheaval and stuff.
It's not like they're not country clubs. They're
Right. And it's like a lot of these black players who think they're street tough and have street cred, whatever. And like Jokic is like, they drop bombs where I live. Like, it's like, so I really am interested.
Country. We had actual oppression going on in our country,
Right. Yeah. And so I'm really interested to see, because Marcus Morris was talking junk. Marcus Morris, Markeith's brother, was talking junk to Jokic and Jokic's brothers, and they're like, "Oh, don't worry, we'll be here," And it's like, so I am really interested to see what happens when Denver, because who is Marcus Morris play for now? I don't remember.
God, so
did he play for Washington? I don't remember.
Keith is on the Heat,
right?
Morris is on the Heat. Okay,
I don't know what team he plays for, but anyway, so we'll see. The Heat have to play Denver again, down here in Miami. So we'll see. So we'll see how that goes, because I don't think Jokic is taking the crap anymore. I think he's like, you know what, enough. I don't think he'll retaliate like that, but I don't think you're gonna get. I don't think this whole we're going to be tough and we're going to stick it to Jokic. What are you going to... Here's the thing. Like, it's almost like Shaq. Like, what are you going to do? He's 7 feet, 280. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you push Jokic around all you want. It doesn't make any difference. So,
yeah. I'm
a Heat fan, but I'm kind of on Team Jokic on this. Stop taking shots at the guy. Enough.
Yeah, I know.
The other one was Rudy Gobert and Miles Turner for the Pacers got into a battle the other night. They were fighting for a rebound, and Gobert fell down, and he grabbed Turner to pull him down with him, and then they kind of it was the worst, the worst excuse for a fight. They just kind of grabbed and held each other, and then just kind of moved back.
People don't really get in fights in NBA games anymore. Okay. It's not like the 70s or the 80s. People don't do that anymore. Like they'll get up on each other and they'll say a bunch of crap, and there may be some pushing and shoving, but it's not fisticuffs. People aren't going to start throwing haymakers. Okay.
So,
it's not.
So anyway, yeah. So I heard, and then JJ Redick was also on First Take. He's working for ESPN. It was his first time on First Take, and he said he was talking about the Jokic thing, and he said, "Listen, we're not into fighting in the NBA." He's like, "But pettiness, we love pettiness." He's like, and he's like, I love it, and I'm here for it. It was fantastic. I was like, that's fantastic. I just love that. Guys holding grudges, like nobody's gonna fight anybody.
Gotta have like recently retired players as analysts, not players who retired 15 years ago, but like players who just recently retired because it's more interesting.
Yeah, so first of all, JJ Redick I think is going to be great on ESPN. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, I look forward to this stuff. No, but what do you think? Do you think the obviously the rule changes have affected the game, and I think at some point the NBA probably tries to clean this up. But what do you think about the physical play? I'm sure you like it, but what do you think?
I don't know. It's one of those things. Okay, it'll kind of work itself out. They'll kind of figure out, who's going to do what. Like James Harden has been scoring more points lately. Like the last couple games, he's looked better. So Nick Wright has been basically writing Harden's obituary lately. Like he's just not going to be able to adjust, and he's not going to get all these foul calls, so he's not going to be able to score as much.
Right.
All right, we'll see. I think that's one of those things where you got to kind of like I don't want to jump to conclusions. It's like. I know everybody in the sports media loves to jump. They're like, oh, well, Golden State's the title favorites now. It's like, all right, well, they'll get Klay Thompson back. Their schedule's going to get tougher. Like, slow down. Like they're like them rolling through parts of the regular season makes sense. Why? Because they shoot threes really well. They move the ball really well. They've got a system that's been in place for like 7 years now. So, they've got players who've been coming up through that. So, yeah, they can, that makes sense that they could kind of roll. And also Steph is playing out of his mind right now. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's great that the Warriors are playing like that. I was a little slow I had a hard time making them, saying, well, they're a contender. But honestly, looking at the Western Conference.
Someone was saying yesterday that the West is really wide open. And I guess I kind of agree because with the Lakers, like, forget about the way that they play. I don't know if they're all going to be healthy.
Right.
It's not some outlandish concern. It's a legit concern, And the thing with Westbrook, what if it doesn't work out? What if they trade him in the middle of the season? That could happen. So, I think the West is somewhat wide open. Like, I don't really trust a lot of these teams, And the Warriors, it's like, yeah, they got Steph and Clay's going to come back, and they got Draymond, but Jordan Poole hasn't been through he wasn't on the team when they went to the finals 5 straight years. So he doesn't have this playoff experience. Wiggins doesn't have that kind of playoff experience. So, I did find it kind of funny that like Colin was ripping Andrew Wiggins the other day. He's like, yeah, whenever he plays Minnesota or Cleveland, he's really great, but it's like, he's maddening because it could be much better than he is. And I'm just like, Colin, I don't think you're getting this. Like, on the Warriors, he doesn't have to be the greatest player on the team. He doesn't have to be the second greatest player on the team. Hell, he may not even have to be the third greatest player on the team. He could just be the fourth greatest player. How awesome is that to have somebody as talented as Andrew Wiggins just be the fourth best player on the team? It's like Lamar Odom when he was on the Lakers with Kobe and Pau Gasol. It's like, yeah, he can be really good. You don't want him as the number 2 option, but number 3 or 4, like, that's pretty good. So.
Yeah, I mean, Wiggins just has to play defense, and he's going to get all kinds of open shots on that team. So
I'm like, that's perfect.
Yeah, I think the Warriors have it's an interesting thing because they know who they are. Like, they know how to play, they know how they want to do everything. So I think the continuity helps. I think Utah is also kind of like that, where they basically had the same guys. The Miami Heat, or they've added some guys, but they basically play the same way.
Yeah, well, like the Warriors are going to play Phoenix, like 2 games in a row at the end. I think it's like the end of this month. Like the end of this month, they have one game that's like at home, and then the next game is on the road at Phoenix or whatever. So that's kind of an interesting game to watch. And then I think they play Golden State plays Brooklyn, and I think they play Philadelphia at some point. So those are kind of interesting games just because like their schedule so far has been relatively easy. I mean, they started off the season against the Lakers and they won that game, and then they played I forget who they lost to. They lost to like Memphis, like in overtime or something. But the rest of the games, like they played Charlotte and they played New Orleans, and they, so they've had some relatively easy games. But they did just beat the Bulls, and the Bulls were like 8-3. So
Yeah. So I'm really excited. NBA should be heating up. We got Christmas Day games in about 6 weeks or so, and so I'm
yeah.
interested to see how it goes as football starts to heat up a little bit here.